families who are being affected, the judges, and then policymakers. So we're pulling everybody together.
Well, and I want to I'm going to show you some of the good stuff we got, but I also wanted to say the one thing about Kimberly and I is we are definitely rebel rousers. We are definitely those who, in our communities and with those that we work with, we like call it out. Okay, we totally call it out like it is, like we see it. But we also understand that those people, a lot of those people, and that layer of people, and I'm just going to call it a layer of people because I'm going to call them the quasi-bureaucrats. They're like the ones who are not just like totally have their feet sealed in stone and ready to be thrown off the bridge and into the muddy waters of bureaucracy, but they are the ones who are either elected or, they are feasting off the system, there's no doubt, but it is a little bit different level, okay? And Kimberly and I did a video last night. I put it on YouTube and then shared it, and I hope you get a chance to look at it, but it's how change occurs. And change always starts at the bottom of people who are disgruntled, who tell their stories, who bring out what's going on, try to start understanding the nature of the problem. And that's what happened with me. I mean, I saw that family courts and juvenile courts were just not functioning properly. We're just not functioning correctly. And I started investigating as to why is that? What's happening? Why is there such an inconsistency in the court system? So Title IV-E, that's how I learned about Title IV-E. And I'm going to tell you, as a lawyer, I practiced law for 15 years and I never knew about Title IV-E and how that was affecting the outcomes. So we are, so Kimberly and I also, we step right into the arena. And we stepped right into the arena. That's what we did here. And we came here and I just like, Kimberly, we're going to go. So she was in Tennessee. I'm like, you're not going home yet?
She says it's only a 4-hour drive, but then we had to drive an hour and a half the day before and then 5 hours the next.
And it was like not really a 4-hour drive. It's like a 5-hour drive. So I lied about that. But and we drug 6 kids with us. Okay, so there's like I don't want to hear any excuses from anybody about we have kids at home.
And we've got 3 younger kids who are now very savvy on elevators. They learned a lot.
They learned about elevators and that when you're in a city and the streets are very busy, you got to be very careful. So they also discovered the St. Louis Arch, which is actually pretty awesome for little children to see because it's looks like it reaches to the moon. So
I want to say that my goal for the next conference, which will be in Reno, Nevada, apparently they call it Nevada, not Nevada. I learned that today from a local person from there. I would like to give a presentation on the perspective from pro se litigators and families, because maybe that's not the perspective that a judge gets. So I would love to be able to educate them from that perspective, and I'd like to talk with them about policy and how we can make this less traumatic for everyone, and how we can make it easier for judges and streamline things. And really we need to take things outside of the courtroom back into mediation, and we need to consider all sorts of factors like domestic violence, trauma, etc.
Well, and let me tell you and I think this is a good idea, and getting the story from the actual mouth of the horse is always good, and making short, and I think you should think about this, making a short video of this is what my judge told to me when I was alone.
I think that's a good idea, and then we can have like a really cool presentation. Right. So you guys start thinking about that.
Because I will say that one of the presentations here was on judicial ethics, and they talked about the judges in social media. And one of the particular cases that he brought up was the Tennessee case where the judge was friends with the attorney of the opposing party on Facebook, and they brought that out. So I think it's time. If we can make a video and you just have 30 seconds or 15, 20, 30 seconds of you saying, well, my name is Connie, I'm in the state of Ohio, and I had to go into a courtroom by myself and the judge said this. Okay.
So like for me, they told me I had to sell an alpaca to pay for the guardian ad litem. They told me that my child support had to go to pay I lost my connection. Give me 1 second. Reconnecting.
Okay, so while Kimberly's reconnecting over there, because we are running 2 lives at once, we're doing double duty here. I guess that makes us like mainstream media because we're on several networks.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
except she has more
and
people.
this is Amy back here. So I really, they've got to see that message. And that's why I'm working on the one with ex parte orders. My kids were stolen by an ex parte order. My grandkids were stolen. So many times the grandparents are not being heard. All right, while she's reconnecting over there, I'm going to show you just a few things. So here's one. It's called Redefining Judicial Leadership. And when I flipped through it this morning and I just opened it, I mean, there's some awesome things in here about how the judge's mentality is changing or should change. Like, hang on, that's not the one I want. This morning I flipped open to...
Oh, I'm back. Hi, I lost everybody, but I'm back. Okay, yeah, so Connie's going through this. They had great literature.
Oh, here, like this one. Being a trauma-responsive court. And I know that's going to be backwards for you all.
Being a trauma-responsive court. But, I mean, there are so many great manuals here.
Yeah, and we got all kinds of stuff where there's other webinars on... and then I picked up... They have Family Court Review, okay, they were here, so they had some copies of that. I picked up that, but here's the one I want to show.
My favorite one, I know you're about to pull out. Yeah.
There was some people here doing SoberLink and drug stuff, and oh shoot, I just flipped something on the floor over there.
They have a huge stack. I don't know if you can.
Thank you. Okay, juvenile court statistics. This is an important one. I picked up this. This is like a whole book. I'm not sure if I was supposed to take the whole book. This was important. But you know what? Today, all the people were leaving, and so we were like...
They don't want to take it back.
They don't want to carry it back. This is the Association of Family and Consult.
That's really interesting stuff in that.
Conciliation courts.
Yeah, I would look into that, you guys, because there was some really good literature on that. And when we are not so crazy traveling, we can try to make these lists for you, but it's the Association of Family and Conciliation Court, AFCC. It's actually www, I'm sorry, I'm blocking my face on that side, www.afccnet.org.
AFCCNET.org. Okay.
And here's the really good one.
Okay, so this one was on, this says Kin First, okay? So this was on, whose table was this on? Grandfamilies.org, judicial tip sheet. And I picked up all that were left on there, so I'm just gonna like hand deliver these.
Hand them out.
I'm not gonna mail them. I'm gonna like hand deliver these to some judges in Tennessee. Okay. And Ken, okay, so I was in circuit court and I have a family. I have a mom who has a mental disability. She has a low IQ. She's going to struggle to function independently all her life. But she has, and this, you know, you have to draw out family not paradigms, but family diagrams sometimes, right? And so she has another child whose paternal aunt is helping raise him. So this child that's now a baby that went into foster care is not biologically related to the kin that has the other child, right? And so the courts tried to tell me she's not a relative. And I said, yes, she is. Under state and federal law, there's what's called significant kin and fictive kin. He goes, fictive kin, what's that? And I go, yes, it's defined under federal law. It is persons who have a substantial relationship to maintain the family. So this Kin First, and this is for all you grand families out there, I'm going to tell you, this is www.grandfamilies.org, Grand Families. So I will post that up there too, but these are some little flyers I'm going to be hand delivering. I picked up the rest of them on the table. So we also, there was a lot of people here on substance abuse, okay, for drug testing and alcohol spontaneous testing, so that people can, different types of tools that they can use. You know, and one of the messages I try to give to y'all out there, as well as I try to give to my clients, anything that you can do to provide evidence that you are not abusing substances, whether it's alcohol, it is so I mean, people think it's expensive, but it's so much cheaper than a lawyer.
Yeah, and I also, let me add too, if you go to Parents Assisting Parents Network on Facebook and you just put in drug test, we have so much information on false positives. Let's say that you got that you had a positive drug test come back or urine analysis. Well, you can take it back to court and say, well, I was taking this medication, this can give a false positive, it's not the case, and try to request a different test that is more comprehensive. And we also have a really good document on facilities that are federal run, and it talks about how things can be presented to court and what can be accepted in court as far as drug testing is concerned, and you can use that in your case too.
Well, I did have the opportunity to speak at length with some of the vendors that were there regarding drug testing, and I said sometimes I get a contact from a parent who has a specific question that we're unable to answer, and thankfully I was able to get information from these vendors. Personal information. So if there's a question that you have that you can't find an answer for, they've encouraged me to utilize them as a resource, and that they will find that answer for you.
And also tell them about the person who told you about the medical officer. Medication.
MRO.
MRO.
Yes,
Was it
when
you?
okay. Yeah,
Okay, because I'm like,
I talked at length with the vendor about the MROs, which is the medical review officer. So when you're asked or court ordered to have drug testing done, you need to remember to request an MRO if you receive a positive test result. That MRO, which is a medical review officer, needs to contact you, and you can explain to them if you're taking medication or over-the-counter medication that would cause a false positive. They take that documentation into consideration before they submit a fully on positive test result.
Well, and also, I'm just going to throw this out there. Remember, there are over-the-counter things that can cause false positives as well. So, I mean, if somebody NyQuil, Vicks nasal inhalers, one of my favorites actually, because it wakes me up instead of an afternoon coffee.
Medication.
Isn't that horrible? I go like,
allergy medication has
to be testing me.
So if you're taking something for allergies, you could
try to get a drug test
positive.
from you now.
I need to drug test these two right now.
Yeah,
So, yes,
I'm telling you, with what we do, we need to power up, boy. All right, so let's see. I had something else I was going to say, though, about this. Anyway, we also have, as being part of the conference, we have the attendees list. And so we have, not only did we personally, I mean, Kimberly probably talked to 4 or 5 personally. I picked different people. We just like pounce on different people. And, you know, and I do want to say, I mean, it's all God-driven, because the people that we reach out to and talk to, although we're not 100% on as far as getting support or getting positive results, but most of the time we are. So there goes Kimberly again.
I lost my connection.
She's disconnecting again, so we're going to chat over here. So we are going to continue. I'm still kind of putting myself in policy positions and working on policy committees through some other organizations that I belong to, and Kimberly's working on her campaign, which will include policies. So she's also going to be very interested in supporting those policies.
We're also working with the Family Forward Parenting Coalition, which meets every 2 weeks. We just had a meeting. We'll have a meeting this upcoming week, and we're working on the three level. It's local, state, and federal.
Right.
So,
and that's with Maureen?
Maureen, yes.
Yeah, with Maureen, and they're doing those meetings. And then I'm going to work on, I have a legislative meeting that we're going to be setting here in just a couple of weeks. I'm working on 3 different aspects. I'm not going to say what they are here on Facebook Live, because I know my stalkers are watching, and they'll be trying to short circuit it, and they'll be preparing a defense on that before I even get to talk about it. So just telling you, I've got them in my head. I know what they are. They're already written down. So be prepared to hear it when we're ready.
I met the entire Virginia delegation. There were a lot of judges from Virginia here. One was very receptive to me, actually out of Pulaski. So that should be interesting because I'm hosting a rally in Pulaski outside of his courtroom the first week of August.
Wow. Okay.
I look forward to seeing him again, I'm sure. But there were some really, really good judges here that understand that there are problems and that there needs to be reforms. And there were some people who really weren't nice at all.
And again, it's that what I call that mid-sector bureaucracy, okay? They're like, they're not sealed in concrete, ready to jump in the river, but they are elected officials. Some of them are appointed. They've got a job. They've got a stable job. They got pensions that they're trying to secure out of our tax dollars, by the way. They are our servants, public servants, and we need to continue to remind them of that. People who are guardian ad litems, probation officers, other court officers, etc. So we've got to continue to work at that level as well.
I actually spoke to attorneys from Kansas City last night who came to this conference to receive an award, and they represent families' dependency cases, and it is of their opinion that in most circumstances the parents are guilty, but they feel it's a duty to represent them even though they personally feel like their rights need to be terminated.
Wow.
But they got an award.
Wow. I didn't need it.
And so I feel like possibly they may need a little bit of education,
right,
and a different perspective.
I know
and
a lot of those
understand funding.
I know a lot of those attorneys.
So I wonder how many families and children have been ripped apart by
because
these
of them.
people who got awards. So anyway, you're kind of sitting there, with your little cocktail in the evening, trying to network, and you're like, oh,
Okay. We know that 85% of the children who are in foster care are not there because of physical or sexual
Correct.
abuse, and we know that 40% of the children are there because of parental substance abuse, which is not terminal illness. Some parents do need some assistance. All right, well, we're just blabbering now, so we're going to, but we want you to know that we're working, Kimberly and I are working at this every day, even though we're not on lives every day. We are plowing through, and please stick with us. Please support us. Please follow what we're doing because we're posting little things that we're doing all the time. So I was a little bit quiet for a while because of that criminal stuff, and I'm really pissed off about some of it. So I'm going to be talking about that some more.
okay, all right. We'll see you guys, I guess.
We're taking 6 kids to the museum, the city museum.
We're
We'll
on
probably
an 8.5-hour trip back
Yeah,
up
she's
north.
in the car to drive.
And I have to drive 14 hours to Virginia somehow.
And
gotta figure that one
She
out.
has to go to Virginia, and we'll be posting some pictures of the museum. So just keep an eye out for it. All right, we love you all.
Thank you guys.
See you
Take
later.
care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.